On the warm-up lap now, Barbagallo, great crowd lining the fences here. The real picture is Ambrose from Murphy and Richards after the first race, and we've discussed it before how much things can change in such a short space of time in this championship now. So this is the grid from the positions out of race one. Scaife and Bright on the front row with Ambrose just behind them. That'll be a great battle. He closed within 5 seconds of them yesterday. Rick Kelly is with him, and he's no slouch either. Garth Tander, what a great drive. Can he go further into the pack? Has he got the car speed? Cameron McConville, his teammate, who started 6th on the grid yesterday, maintained that position, but would have been a little bit disappointed, I think, with Garth passing him before the end of the race from so far back. Murphy, solidly in 7th position, and John Bow, who was in plenty of dices, managed to hold 8th position. Then we look at Ingle and Wheel. Wheel again was one of those guys who was disadvantaged by qualifying but came through to the top 10. Todd Kelly and Brad Jones next. And we wish Brad the best of luck in what has been a tough season for him. Stephen Johnson and Tony Longhurst. That's a good result for Longhurst after a tough start to the season as well. Warren Luff and Max Wilson further back, and Max improved from 16th. He says he likes the car. Barguana in 18th. That's difficult for him. He may slide out of the top 10 in the championship if this form continues. His teammate is right behind him. And then Jason Richards, who had a major lose yesterday, falling back to 20th position after being in the top 10 shootout, you might recall. So too was Craig Lowndes, but he fell back to 21st. Noski from WPS in his second start for that team. Then Baird, who was much quicker than that earlier in the weekend. Paul Dumbrell, well, you saw what happened to him in the highlights. And Dale Breed was the cork in the bottle when that terrible incident involving Bright, Richards and Scaife unfolded. Now, here's the start of race 2. Great drag to the first quarter. Scaife marginally ahead of Bright. And Ambrose touches Kelly in the background, but they managed to hold it. Kelly, though, may lose a spot here. He's wide, and slipping through beneath him, Garth Tander, who picks up yet another position in this campaign at Barbagallo.
Trouble at turn 1, Radicic off.
He's been in no end of trouble this weekend.
And I think one of the other PWR cars was involved in that as well. So that's a shame for Radicic, who qualified 5th and then had that engine problem in race 1 and was so bitterly disappointed. Ambrose drops back a slot as Tander sneaks up the inside in the Valvoline car down at turn 6. Yellow flag's flying there. Safety car is being deployed.
Kelly looked like he dropped another spot there too. Cameron McConville picking his way past Murphy. Bow just behind him. Russell Ingle on the charge there on the outside of Wheel, who just straightens the car. Ambrose pulls out wide, but they're all falling into line now with that safety car coming out. And the bollard is missing from the ripple strip at the exit of pit lane, as of course they have to regroup with Radicic's car to be removed from the sand. We've seen that a few times this weekend. What a hectic charge again, Neil. Tander, he's on the move.
Well, his car certainly came good yesterday when it counted. And it was a surprising number of movers through the pack. Here's a replay of the start from Marcus Ambrose. And a little bit of contact on the way to turn 1. No real big deal. That's Rick on the left. And just on the outside of this area where we're looking at the moment is where Radicic went off into the sand. Good start from Scaife. Here's the shot from the rear of the pack, and hard to work out who did what to who here, but there's Paul, gets one in the side from somebody.
And now we know why that bollard was knocked off the ripple strip as well. He's pretty deep in the sand there.
Yeah, once you go out there, there's no coming back, so it'll take him a moment just to drag that car out of the sand. So excellent start for Scaife. He needed that. He needed position if he's going to try and defend yesterday's race win. As soon as the pit window opens, I understand that Scaife will come in and do his compulsory pit stop. And I think you'll find quite a number of people do that.
And look at the pour in from under the safety car. The Audi feeling very lonely out there at the moment as they sweep in to pit lane. And this is exactly what we saw yesterday after the incident involving Bright, Scaife and Richards, Neil, where we saw lots of two-car teams come in, and you'll see them queuing up here. Oh, and that is
Tander clouded one of the stationary wheels there. Peak hour in Perth. Scaife's in. 20+ kilo wheel and tyre, 5 kilo odd.
Hang on, go.
And Ingle's out in front of Scaife. It's a messy pit lane. Oh, there's nose to tail drama because Ingle couldn't get in, Scaife couldn't get out. Darryl.
Yes, Crompton, it's mad down here. Scaife was waiting like you said, but
Bridie got held up in the line. Tander slipped down pit lane and jumped up in front of him. So Bridie got it a jump there, but overtaken by Tander.
Yeah, but I think there'll be a problem for Tander because he clouded that wheel. I'm not sure how the Avesco officials will rule on that, Rusty.
With the exception of Paul Dumbrell, Neil, there is virtually no one that didn't stop in this chaotic pit lane. There were people nose to tail. People were sort of double parked in pit lane waiting for their teammates to be serviced before they could get out. Unbelievable scenes.
Yeah, and that's ugly because, you know, when it's all very well to have the cars sit and wait, but when they actually half sit across the fast lane or the manoeuvring lane, it stops everybody and it turns into chaos.
That's the downside. 32 seconds total time for a pit stop here, but as we discussed earlier in the program, it is still beneficial to queue your cars in this situation, and as Neil said, that can backfire though, as we see Radicic coming in belatedly, of course, having been dragged. Look at the massive amount of sand there in the splitter.
On board now with Scaife. There's Jeff, clears the car, but can't go anywhere. There's Russell arriving, and then he brakes because he can't get into his spot. And that's a crucial second or two that allows Ambrose out in front of him. So that's critical. The guy that was leading the race gets tripped up in the pit lane.
We understand David Bernard has also stayed out. As far as the timing model is concerned, he's not yet made his stop.
Also a problem with Jason Bright's car. They're not sure whether one of the rear wheel nuts has actually been torqued up to the correct tension. So they're asking Jace, make sure the thing feels right. Make sure it feels right.
Gee, that's a worry. Very, very costly situation if he has to come back in.
It's looking at turn 4, long left hand of the positive camber, and then it
we'll crunch
the top of the hill and down. The safety car lights are out. We will restart on this lap.
And we'll crunch the numbers for you as they cross the start-finish line, figure out the positions. Scaife's had a little disadvantage in pit lane, and it looks like Ambrose has capitalised.
Still quite a number of people, well, not quite a number, there's certainly some people that have not yet stopped.
Darryl mentioned Dumbrell. We understand he has now stopped. It's Bernard who is doing what Craig Baird did yesterday, and that is become the only guy out there at the pointy end without having made a stop, hoping for rain. That's Bernard at the front of the pack there in car 23 as they go green. And it'll be interesting to see how Bernard copes at the front of the field with a lot of heavyweight contenders behind him. Rick Kelly's in good shape. Ambrose, Mark Scaife, Garth Tander, Jason Bright. So that top group has been shaken up. John Bowe just behind them. Stephen Johnson has lifted from that pit stop. Very useful situation there. He was 5th fastest in the warm-up this morning, incidentally.
Stephen Richards is up to 21st. That's important for the guy that came into this championship round leading. The further up he can get, the more points he claws. They're all on to Bernard at the moment as they head down towards turn 6, and Rick has a look down the inside, can't get it done. Ambrose has got the headlights on. He's under pressure from Scaife. Here goes Kelly down the inside of Bernard, who's one out and one wide.
Don't forget, Bernard is not a lap down. He is racing for race position there, so he's entitled to do his best, of course, within the bounds of sportsmanship.
Side by side, there's no room here.
Ambrose forces his way through.
Look at it.
And Tander was so wide there, Neil. He had a bit of he looked a bit taily. He might have got out in the grass there on the wrong side of the circuit, on the inner side of the circuit.
Bowie's having a look as well.
And they're sweeping past Bernard now.
Oh, and contact between John Bowe and Jason Bright.
They nudged their way clear. Murphy's followed them through as well. But the race leader now is Rick Kelly. Can he hold from Marcus Ambrose and Mark Scaife? Scaife losing a position, 2 in fact, in that pit stop.
In yesterday's first 42-lap race, he was strong at the start, but then he started to run out of a bit of grip at the critical point of the race and eventually just let a few of the boys go. But he's got good pace here at the moment, but Scaife is monstering the back of Ambrose as they come out of 6. Marcus goes defensive as they head down towards the braking area. Now comes back to the true racing line. Scaife closes with a little concertina effect under brakes. These two cars very, very closely matched on this lap.
Smart, it's a long race.
We're a 1/6 of the way through it, just past that. And I mentioned Mighty Marcus. It was a great drive yesterday, but also a feat of engineering, because that car, Neil, simply wasn't fast earlier this weekend.
No, it was terrible early in the weekend. Practice 1, 21st. Practice 2, it was 28th. Qualifying, it was 21st. And what about the race 1 result? Third. That was a marvellous engineering job by his team and a great driving performance by Marcus. And I thought it was a terrific, enthralling battle between Bright and Scaife yesterday. Pressure motor racing from both of them. Look at Scaife trying to find a way up the inside, sliding the car a little bit. Did he get a better exit? 1K is all you need. Marcus now just moves slightly to the defensive. Scaife stays with the true race line. He'll get a better exit. And look, Ambrose down the inside, displaces Rick Kelly. A change for first and second. Scaife goes with him. Kelly back to third. The crowd goes nuts.
The Ford fans were jumping up in front of the commentary position. We couldn't see out the window. Right behind them, still Tander, staying out of trouble for now. Jason Bright with him.
Marcus, I'll keep you with the gaps.
Stephen Richards up to 18th. He's driving like Marcus did yesterday. Carving his way through the field.
They're slow at the moment, though. 57.3 last lap for Marcus because of the dicing. Same lap time for Mark Scaife. 58 flat for Rick Kelly.
Max Wilson up to 13th position.
Here's the pass. Final corner. Good job by Marcus. Plenty of room left by Rick. Tiny touch there, a glance at the very end of it. And Mark makes the most of that opportunity and goes with him down pit straight.
Well, we haven't had 4 different winners in the first 4 rounds of the championship since back in 1997. If we get another new winner here.
Car. Now, I think that's McConville.
That is a
Tander had a drama in the warm-up this morning when Stephen Richards lost that engine over at turn 5. Threw a lot of oil and garbage everywhere, and Garth's car went off. It damaged the under tray and the front splitter, and also damaged the hydraulic lines and the power steering, so it put him out of the game this morning. Rusty, you're on the spot down there?
Well, they're at the front of the car, Neil, looking around the belts area. Ken McConville, what's happened?
The steering just went really heavy, Rusty, and then it came up oil pressure warning. I think it's thrown a drive belt or something off because it's killed the power steering, and oil pressure just dropped, so I cut the engine, but can't believe it, you know. It was going really good this weekend, but what can you do?
Unbelievable, considering how well yesterday had gone for you, Cam.
Yeah, I got caught out by that stop a little bit. I had to bunch up in pit lane and lost some time, but the cars had great speed all weekend. The guys have been doing a great job to keep us up there, and something like this happens. Just have to soldier on, I guess.
Thanks, Cam.
Just goes to show what happens when you've got track position. Cameron was 20th in the first session, 19th in the second session, and then with that mixed-up qualifying, he ended up 4th, and he took great advantage of it to be 6th in the shootout and then 6th in race 1, and mechanical problems out now. Well, he had second race.
He hadn't qualified better than 22nd in the previous 4 rounds, so as you say, Neil, if there's so little between these cars in terms of lap times, if someone can somehow get towards the front, they can show what they can do.
I noticed in Darwin a couple of weeks ago that I looked down through the field and there were guys that were back in 25th position that were lapping as fast or faster than the leaders. And so it's all about qualifying. It's all about how you manage the first 2 laps.
And on that subject, mate, Neil, Todd Kelly, 8th in the race, but the fastest lap so far, 56.7, which just gives an indication of the depth of quality we're seeing here.
Bridie was certainly knocked around by that stop before, and it's buried him down in the pack. He's being monstered by John Bowe in the Aussie male Ford, and he's right in behind Garth Tander. Todd Kelly is next, and Todd is having a battle with Greg Murphy at the moment through turn 1.
Well, he's lifted to 7th now, Todd.
57 even for Marcus, 57 even for Mark Scaife, 57-1 for Rick Kelly. 7-2 for Tander, 7-3 Bright, 7-3 Bowe, 7-2 Murphy, 6-8 Todd Kelly. So Todd's got some car speed, but it's hard to use in that position at the moment.
Stephen Richards has passed Paul
Look
Morris.
at this move. He's got the job done cleanly. Down the inside for Jason Bright. Moves up 1 spot to 4th. So recovering from that awkward pit stop, sets off after Rick.
Good job, mate. Remember the rear bar. I don't know how it's feeling, but just remember the rear bar. Probably think about it.
Phil Keed, the engineer, to Jason Bright, prompting the driver. Think about the balance of the car. Look at your anti-roll bars. You know, don't just drive the tyres off the car. Adjust it according to the conditions. Look at this battle here. Fantastic between Kelly and Bowe. Tander in there as well. Bowe and Tander have crossed swords on a couple of occasions before. This is tight motor racing.
But they haven't actually touched in that whole sequence coming down the straight and through turn 1. Very good, clean, hard racing. We've seen so much passing here at Barbagallo.
You'd have to say lifting the grip levels in the track have really smartened up the action here. It's fantastic. We saw a great race yesterday. We've seen some exciting sessions, and Ingle has gone off on the exit of turn 4. just gone in there too hot. Rejoins, doesn't look as though there's any
That's Warren Luff coming up behind him.
apparent damage, and on board now with Scafie on the run down to 7.
Russell's dropped about 6 positions there by my guess. We'll see when he comes through the start-finish line for the second time, and that won't be too far away. Look at this, Bow still in this battle with Tander and Kelly.
Russell was 12th, and you said he was back on in front of Luff, who was 19th, so that's about where he's dropped to.
We'll confirm that in a moment. Look at this, Tander, Bow and Kelly. Kelly!
Got him. And he may take Murph with him.
Oh, Murphy drives through, and Bow forced to the extreme outside of the circuit. Quickest lap of the race, Jason Bright, 56.565 on that last one. He's in 4th position.
And he'll close down on that gap to Rick Kelly pretty quickly with car speed like that. He was 0.5 quicker than Rick on the last lap.
And Russell is in 18th position.
Warren Luff's in at turn 1. That will probably prompt the safety car, which will re-energise the race, which will then cause another drama, which will then re-energise the race, and so it goes.
This is a race that does not need Viagra.
Safety car boards, yellow flags. Come on, safety car boards, yellow flags.
And that's the race director calling for the flags, the boards and the car. And getting everybody into gear quickly. Pressure in the tower, pressure on the racetrack, pressure everywhere.
David Bernard may take this opportunity to come in. He's in 9th position, yet to make his pit stop.
We've got corner speed on him. He's got great run.
Getting analysis from Scafie as to... Here we go. This is what happened to Warren Luff.
Mark Winterbottom on his inside, and he runs out of circuit here. Ends up sand on the
once you're out wide
outside.
of the race line, Bill, there's absolutely no grip, and that looks like probably a straightforward error, but I can't begin to describe how little grip is out there. Once you're wide of the race line, the marbles, the dirt and the sand out there disconnect the grip from the car and you're a passenger.
Yeah, I saw that. There was a ton of sand on the actual track. There is a lot of it there. That's not, of course, Warren's fault. A lot of that sand on the exits of corners and on the outside of the track, but he has tipped a fair bit on the race line as well, so they'll have to be cautious as they resume racing. A little squirm there from Ambrose at the front of the pack.
Watch carefully because the tyres have cooled out, the tyre pressures have gone down, but the aggro levels go up. People see opportunities in these restart situations. Car 2 is being black flagged.
That's Scaife.
Car 2 is getting a black flag instruction for a pit lane speed infringement.
Oh,
Ambrose locks a brake. Big time. He's going to go off.
Now, how can Mark Scaife couldn't get in the pits there?
He's got a drive-through penalty, mate.
Well, he's gone to the lead. Ambrose has lost 2 positions. Rick moves up into 2nd place. Ambrose now under attack. I wonder. That was a big lock-up, Neil. Would there possibly be a flat spot there?
No doubt. Well, Ambrose a mistake. Scaife gets a black flag for speeding in pit lane. Rick Kelly would be laughing.
I was just about to say, if Scaife wins this round, we'll have had 5 different winners for the first 5 rounds, which is a first for the championship. We've had 6 different winners in mid-season before, but not to start. That's terminal. Craig Lowndes there. Another blown engine for FPR. Oh, this is frustration time. The F word for Craig Lowndes is frustration.
Now, I said pit lane speeding. I should correct myself and say pit lane infringement. There is a distinction. So we'll wait and see. Oh, trouble. Tander's on the grass at 250 Ks.
Well, Kelly and Tander came together there very, very heavily. Bow was just ahead of them. Tander did well to regather it. Oh, there's another one straight off. It's Ingle. And he was headed for the medical centre there.
You're right.
He's okay. There's a big sand trap there, which he didn't actually reach. Someone's been in the left door of that, and left mirror doesn't look too good.
I wonder if he's got front left damage there too. Hopefully not.
Scaife will have actually seen this flag now and has been advised by his team. So expectation is that we'll see him roll through pit lane this lap, and that'll drop him because the field's compressed to virtually the back of the field.
What next? This is an extraordinary round. This will place Rick Kelly in the lead if Scaife does come in on this lap. Marcus Ambrose will be 2nd and Bright 3rd, then Murphy. What will Scaife do? He looks like he's carrying a bit of speed there, but he does come into pit lane.
I'll tell you what, his heart rate will be up.
Absolutely. So, I mentioned the top 3 there. Murphy 4th, Bow, Todd Kelly. You can still see the stricken McConville car being wheeled out of action.
They're not good, but keep your head, mate. Try and do our best.
He was gunning for his third pole position. He escaped, but it turned out to be good luck for him because he won the first race. There's Ingle with the left rear mirror flapping. Max Wilson's also been given a pit lane infringement penalty from 9th position after fighting his way through from well down the field. That'll be a gut-wrenching moment for him. And Stephen Richards now will move up to 9th position in the race. He's doing exactly what Ambrose did yesterday, and we're midway through the event. Ambrose now is at the pointy end, and 2 more cars off there.
Craig Baird,
and
one of the Orcon cars.
Barbagallo.
Can't pick the number up from that distance.
They're both long names. I think it might be... Anyway, we'll wait till they go through the start-finish line. It's Barbagallo, I think, Neil.
Great contest. Look at this. Bridie's getting a bit of a hurry up there from Murph. John Bow in there as well. Todd Kelly.
Who said these 3 sprint races were not exciting? We've had amazing action for the last 2 rounds at Pukekohe and Hidden Valley, and now here in Western Australia. The events may be spread out, but the field isn't. Extraordinary stuff. And it was Barbagallo off the circuit. Winterbottom is still in there in 14th place. Baird is also off the circuit. Radicic has made 2 pit stops. Let's go to Darryl Beattie.
That must be a bit of a surprise. Have you had a warning all weekend at all that the car's been overspeed in pit lane?
No, yes, we haven't had any breaches the whole week, and you know, his opinion is other cars can make ground on him in the pit lane, but you know, we've always got to abide by the rule, and they've pinged us for it, so there's nothing we can do about it. So just try and get as many places back as we can.
Disappointing, seeing as though both cars have had good speed this weekend. Yeah,
very disappointing for the team. You know, we're in the best position we've been in for a long time, and you know, you don't want that thing to happen. So you know, we'll just try and make the best out of it as we can.
Thanks, Robbie. Rusty?
Craig, did it give you any warning sign, and what's the diagnosis?
Diagnosis, I'm in the role for the new James Bond movie. I think it's got plenty of smoke coming out of it. The car's running fine. Had a little bit of oversteer, but plenty of smoke coming out of it. And from what I can see, there's a bit of oil dripping from underneath it. Where it's coming from, I don't know.
Hard luck, Rob.
Thanks.
The point that Rob Starr was making before about the pit lane speeding, we should point out, you can be caught for speeding on the approach, or perhaps even flicking it off a bit early on the exit, but generally where there's an infringement, it's where you arrive and you go across the line above the speed. Now, obviously we don't know, we don't have the data, and we're not looking in the back of the radar gun, but that's typically where the drama is. It's not usually in the middle of the pit lane where the limiter has control of the speed of the car.
Great battles here right through the field. You can see Winterbottom there defending position from Jason Richards. And just behind them, Glenn Seaton still out there battling away for FPR with an engine that's still going. Brad Jones dropping back to 18th in the thick of that battle. I think Bradley lost some positions in that first exchange of pit stops, Neil. I'm not totally sure about that. There was so much action going, he sort of disappeared in the mist.
There's more trouble here. There's I think there's smoke or something from somebody's car down there, or I think joining the other bunch.
Yes, joining the 2 Strickett cars midfield.
Scaife, incidentally, is 23rd. Ingle is 24th. And is it Beardo's car that's taking up smoking?
Yes, they are putting some water on it right now. And there is Barg's car, which doesn't look to be as severely damaged. Beardo's copped a major.
That's a lot of damage on that car.
Big punch in the nose there. And here is Max Wilson, yet to come in, so we'll try and clarify that for you. He's in 9th position on the circuit, but we do believe he's been called for an infringement. There's Winterbottom and Richards and Seaton battling away with Brad Jones. And that is position 15 through to 18.
While all this has been going on, Stevie Richards has moved up to 10th position.
Isn't it good?
And he's currently in a vigorous brawl with Max Wilson, and Max is not giving him any space. But here's the race leader: Kelly, Ambrose, Bright, Murphy, Bow, Todd Kelly, Garth Tander. Replay now of the aggravation at turn 6 between Barbagallo and Beardo, and big contact. Don't really know much more to the story at this point.
Back with the race leaders, and we're in that period of the race. 17 laps, and it's settling down just a little bit, dare I say it. And pretty soon we hope to be joined by Craig Lowndes in the commentary box, and we'll hear from the man who's fast running out of engines. But
car 45's also being black flagged, Dale Breed. It's a pit lane speeding violation. well. Joining us in the commentary box, a bloke who I'm 115% certain does not want to be here, even though we like him. Welcome, Craig Lowndes, and disappointing for you to have another engine-related drama.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Neil. It's actually wonderful to be in here. Got a great screen. You guys are...
Isn't it a big screen?
It is an amazing screen. It's look, it's one of those things, unfortunately. We've had a terrible run all weekend. We've been fighting the car, but the car wasn't going too bad. Obviously, we had a couple of incidents yesterday that with the car, and obviously running off the track. Prefer to be out in the sand than the black stuff, but really don't know. It's dropping oil out of something. The boys have taken it back to the garage to see whether they can rectify, but at the moment it's smoking a lot. But as I said, the car itself is running fine.
What about the resurfacing around here, Craig? The lap speed's impressive, but the racing has been particularly vigorous in the last 2 days as well. Do you think that's got anything to do with the resurfacing, or is it just the bounce of the ball?
Well, I think it's a bounce of the ball to a certain extent. I think that the resurfacing has definitely made the car smoother. It's definitely gained more grip for us, and these buggers have top of my lap record, which is long standard here, but really it's
big time, didn't it?
It is, but it is a marked improvement. It's a fantastic circuit. I actually enjoy this circuit, but I think the closest to the racing has come from the grip level that now we can obtain, and we can actually now really attack other drivers, where last year and previous years with the old surface, you weren't able to do that.
That lap record of yours, by the way, you did back in '96. It was a 57.99, and fastest man in the race so far today is actually Paul Dumbrell, who's done a 6.5, and yesterday the times were pretty speedy as well in the mid-sixes, so you've been blown away, mate.
Well, I have. It's something that's look, I would have loved to have. Yeah, I know, but it is interesting that the Commodores around here, for this is probably the first track this year, the Commodores have actually had some sort of advantage over us. They seem to be able to, as you can see, turn the car slightly better than a Falcon, although Marcus here is telling me lies, and he's running around in second position here, but you can see that the Commodores just seem a nicer package on this surface and this circuit.
But isn't it typical of the racing now that a bloke who hasn't qualified better than 21st before this round, this weekend, where he qualified 13th, has picked up the fastest race lap in the middle of the second race of the weekend, and that says a lot, I think, about the championship.
Well, I think it does. And I'll also go back to the first race. A lot of the fastest laps were done towards the end of the race, like towards the end of 42 laps around here. It's pretty much unheard of.
Bridie's fastest lap in the race yesterday, which was the fastest lap, was done on lap 33, which is amazing.
So really, the tyre degradation here is minimal.
Oh, here we go. Oh, dearie me, Stevie. Getting up the inside of Stevie Richards, up the inside of Stephen Johnson. He had to use a bit of elbow when it got down to the critical moment there at turn 6, but he got through. And it is very hard to pass in this pack, isn't it, CL?
Well, it is. It's something that Stevie's managed to get past, and obviously haven't done much damage to his car.
Well, Richo's getting to the point now, of course, where he has to take a few risks to gain points, unlike his situation in the previous 4 rounds. But it'll get tougher because he's getting to the fast end of the field. They simply cannot give themselves enough breathing space, these guys. Rick Kelly leads the race, but not by much. Marcus Ambrose is hunting him down, but under pressure at the same time from Jason Bright and Greg Murphy. And Stephen Richards is up to 7th place. He's just got past Todd Kelly.
And you know that these 3 guys at the top of the field, if you look at the point score for the round at the moment, they're all sitting on 122 apiece. Rick Kelly, Marcus Ambrose, Jason Bright share the equal lead, and here goes a move down the inside for Bridie. Contact. Paint rub, more paint rub. How close can you get it? Look at this. Here comes the Kmart car down the inside as well. And Bridie, who's lost his rear roll bar adjustment, seems to be still trucking along very nicely indeed. Murphy's in the battle. Bow's in the battle. Ambrose has come off second best there.
Well, he really
what an amazing bit of racing all that was.
He took the wind out of Marcus's sails and showed terrific exit speed after all that bumping. And Brower's now pressuring Marcus severely. That's changed the points configuration in a blink, Neil.
Yeah, that's
just
amazing.
After you mentioned it, it's been reshuffled. Bright at the moment would be the round winner on the current points, of course, with another race to go, but he's leading with 2 points on Rick Kelly, and Marcus in all that shuffle has dropped back to 118, but we'll keep you updated on that.
Murphy's made a bit of a comeback here. He's been on the radio just complaining about the performance of the car, but the thing's trucking along okay at the moment. Here's the pass, turn 6. Bridie gets down the inside, half the car up, 3/4 of the car up. First bit of contact, second contact, third tiny little rub here. Now they're side by side, and Marcus is mispositioned, sliding sideways in the dirty line to the outside, but then he tries to cover because Murph's coming down through the inside there as well. And
now, Craig,
pretty exciting stuff. I've got sweaty hands.
You've got a point to make, Craig, about the cornering speed or the cornering handling of the Holden versus the Ford, as we see another great battle here. Tander under pressure from Bow.
Garth's been complaining that his car's weak here into one. John's just giving him a little love tap.
Now, Stephen Richards is looming up on these two guys, Neil, so it'd be interesting to see if it helps him get a bit closer.
Great recovery from Richards, who started way back in, what was it, 29th or something, but Garth put a, sounds like on the radio, they put a bigger front anti-roll bar on the car for this race, and he reckons it's nipping the front brakes, locking up a little bit going into one. It's making him weak down there, so he's trying to cover Bowie, who's got a bit of strength. There's strengths and weaknesses in their cars in different places, and this is perhaps what you were talking about before, Craig.
Yeah, let's get into that, Craig, as we see another look at the Ambrose situation.
Well, this is a great corner. Turn 6, as you can see, it's almost got like a double apex, but the Falcons do struggle mid-corner with front turn. As you can see, Marcus has just been pushed a little bit wide there onto the sand, and it's very, very hard to get traction on this circuit offline. So it is a little bit different, but what I've found is the Falcon does suffer a little bit of mid-corner front, or lack of mid-corner front grip through turn 1 and through turn 6, which is the faster corners, and it just helps the Commodores put their power down a little bit quicker than the Falcons. But in saying that, like obviously Marcus and JB here have been able to find a way around it, and they're travelling quite well.
This is a good run for John Bow, and he needs this. So does the Aussie Mail team. We've got Max off in the sand here, and he's got aggravation here. Is that the Exeter 1? Yeah, it is
the Exeter 1. He's become a bulldozer.
He has.
More sand on the
circuit. A few 100 kilos there. Bradley and Cito got together. That was why we saw Glenn off the road before, was it?
Trying to do the switchback.
Oh, look at the slide from Bradley.
These two blokes get on pretty well, and there ought to be an interesting debrief afterwards when the two of them start to have a yak about it.
That poor old VB sign, it would have been collected about 4 times by now.
Russell did a job on it, and now Cito's crushed it.
Cito's back in 23rd position as a result of that, and we do laugh, but of course it's Craig's teammate, and they need a result. 56.28, Jason Bright, fastest lap of the race so far.
Not
and
a
we're
bad
on
job
board with Marcus.
Lap 38, let's have a listen to this. Sliding, or is that Murph? Must be Murph.
It's Murph.
As you can see there, Murph just managed to get away, just creeping out of turn 1 here, up over the crests, over 3 into 4. This is where, I know you talk about my car, you can see a lot of sand on the right-hand side, offline there, gets very tricky, but my car actually gets very light in the front. The switchback here, just short shift to 4th there, running over here, you'll go to 5th. There it goes to 5th, run down into Coble, turn 6. Now this is where, obviously, Jason Bright did the manoeuvre on Marcus here. Just trying to struggle, just struggling a little bit of drive out of this one as well. As you can see, Murph just twitching on the exit.
Tell you what, up the front it's vigorous too, because Bridie is really on the back of Rick there through turn 6. There's the gap.
Here's Stephen Richards pressuring Garth Tander for 5th position now. He's somehow managed to get past John Bow, and you'll notice the big gap there up ahead to the top 4. It's 4.5 seconds. Nearly 5 seconds now, so Garth is certainly holding up Richo's drive, and I think there's no way in the world Richo will improve more than this position if he does get past Garth, because there's too big a gap. But that'll be a terrific drive no matter what happens here, and that's Wheel off the track, and well, that's a first for this weekend. Someone in the sand and able to get out, but he did have the...
And yesterday, Paul did a pretty awesome job, because he came from 30th to finish 10th in race 1. He was 8th fastest in the warm-up this morning. Incidentally, Scaife, obviously we haven't seen Scaife or Ingle for a long time because of all the action up front. 16th for Mark, 18th for Ingle at the moment.
And just clarifying the Max Wilson situation, there was a misinformation there. It was actually Radicic called in for a drive-through. In the end, Max had that problem anyway and has dropped right through the field. But here's Bright, Kelly.
How close is this?
Murphy and Ambrose, nose to tail at the front of the field. What a battle, and I think Richo was about to go past Tander, but we'll keep an eye on that. Final lap of the race. Is anyone going to try and do what Ambrose did at Hidden Valley?
Righty's quick.
Oh, up on 2 wheels there, Marcus Ambrose, using every inch of the track. 2 points at stake here for a positional change. Debris flying everywhere.
I'll tell you what, it's an unbelievable race. Bits everywhere, sand all over the road, positions changing everywhere.
Lapped cars and broken cars scuttling around.
Amazing run from Bridie, and look at the lap time there from Rick on the last lap. Things obviously sliding around.
He's given him some breathing space here. They plan to change the rules in V8 supercar racing, but I don't know if it ain't broke. And it just doesn't look broke here at Barbagallo. Jason Bright now moving to the top of the table across this championship weekend with a victory in race 2. Absolutely it was. 126 points in the bag. Richo driving to the line with Tander. Neck and neck, but it was Tander by a nose.
How's your oil pressure there, Billy?
Oh, major slide here from Dumbrell. Is it in the background? Recovery from Wheel, who was off the track not long ago.
He's picked up somebody else's splitter.
He needs another splitter. He's not getting enough downforce. He wants more. Oh, dear. Dumbrell has had 2 frenetic finishes to these 2 races. Larry is dumbfounded, I'd imagine, and maybe a few other things we can't mention. He's recovered, and he limps across the line. Just ahead of Seaton, who's had a rough trot as well. Well, close to the end of the race yesterday, Dumbrell had a major lose. Jason Bright, though, has won it. Rick Kelly 2nd, Greg Murphy 3rd, Marcus Ambrose 4th. Jason has 126 points in the bag so far this weekend with a race to go. Rick Kelly with 120, Marcus Ambrose 118. What a battle for the round victory. Stephen Richards up to 6th. Ahead of John Bow, Todd Kelly, Stephen Ellery, Stephen Johnson. That's your top 10.
I think Bridie must have been able to get Rick somewhere over the back when we were looking away at Stephen Richards, but that was a terrific drive. Great motor race. Lots of action, intense driving, and this fellow would be pretty pleased with that effort, and that car's been excellent all weekend.
Yes, it must have been at the back end of the circuit because he was leading into the final corner, and that's where we picked it up. So much drama. Greg Rust.
Just down here, Billy, waiting for Jason to get his helmet off. Phil Keat, his engineer, has already come and congratulated him, and what a drive. That was phenomenal.
It was a tough situation. I mean, we lost a lot of spots. Lost a lot of spots in that pit stop. And she was going to be hard work from then on, but, you know, fortunately the car's certainly up to it. We're probably strong in all the wrong areas at the moment. We're strong, really strong on the brakes and turning in, and unfortunately we're not quite strong enough off the corners to be close enough to pass guys. So it's the quickest car, but it's probably not the best passing car.
With so many battles going on, it was difficult. Tell us about that pass between yourself and Rick Kelly.
He just slipped a fraction wide, and I thought I'll stick my nose in there and see what happens, and he did the right thing and left it open. You know, he was starting to struggle with tyres a bit by the looks of it. We could still hold the tight line all the way up that hill, and it sort of paid off at the end.
It was difficult to hear on the radio, but it did sound like you perhaps had a rear bar problem. Just touch on that.
No, it wasn't a rear bar. It was we started to get a vibration sort of halfway through the race. I think a weight must have come off the tail shaft, but you know it didn't get any worse, and you know it just sort of stayed at an uncomfortable vibration for the rest of the race.
Points-wise, Jace, it sets you up really well for the weekend. Good luck in the third one.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you.
Well, Rick, you must be happy in some ways, but you don't look too happy at all.
No, a bit disappointed, to be honest. Jason had a little bit better tyres towards the end there, and we just oversteered wide through the sweeper, and he got me. I'm really angry, to be honest with you. I don't want to start from the outside here. I'd prefer the inside, but unfortunately, that's the way it goes. You know, Jason drove a great race and picked up on a mistake that I made, and you know, congratulations to him to winning.
Have a good one the next one, mate.
Thank you.
He's a fierce young competitor, Rick Kelly. It's good to see, and all above board, Greg Murphy and Marcus Ambrose will be on row 2 for the final race this weekend. Tander and Richards on the next row. What a formidable group that'll be. And don't leave out Bow and Todd Kelly either, because they've been quick this weekend and not afraid to dice. Ellery and Johnson next. Been a good move through from Stephen Ellery. who we haven't seen too much of this weekend, but he's carved his way through under the radar, Paul Morris. Likewise, moving up to P11 for the third race. Paul Wheel and Mark Scape with some ground to gain. Likewise for Max Wilson, Paul Radicic, who've had some car speed starting from further back in the field, and Craig Lowndes. Go Lowndesy.